Welcome to the DY Proj channel. I'm your guy, DY Fly. What it do? This is just a fair warning. This is not a general NFL video. This is a video pertaining to Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles going after the 2,000-yard record, which is being held by Eric, the old ass, hating ass Dickerson right now as we currently speak. All right. So we're going to get into all 9 of the 2,000-yard rushers and the stats they were able to accumulate the year after they go into 2,000 yards, and see the likelihood of Saquon Barkley being able to do so to go for back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. But what sparked this video was I saw a frivolous ass tweet talking about, oh, Saquon, he can just go after the record next year.
Hold on a minute, player. Shut the fuck up.
If you're like me and you know the history of the NFL and the history of 2,000, when running backs go for 2,000 yards, you would know that the likelihood is slim to none for them going back-to-back 2,000 yard to have 2,000 yard seasons, right? So you know, their stats usually come down pretty significantly. All right, and we're gonna take a look at all 9 rushers to see how, you know, how they did the year after. But just to throw out a tweet like that without even thinking.
Simple Simon ass motherfuckers.
What are you thinking? Huh? But yeah, I think let's just take a look. I think, you know what, after this, like I said, this is a Philadelphia Eagles video, so I do have a take. There's been some new information to come out, so I do have a take on what's going on afterwards. But this doesn't even take a deep dive. We can just take a quick look, right? You see it. You see hater ass Eric Dickerson at the top, 2,100 yards. You see what everyone was able to do in order. You see Saquon Barkley down here at 2,005 yards, and he still has an extra game to go. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's first start off with OJ Simpson. Shout out to the Juice. Shout out to the Juice. Rest in peace. But you see, he was able to go for 2,003 yards in his 5th season, right? 2,003 yards. He took 332 attempts. He averaged 6 yards a carry, 12 touchdowns, 143 yards a game. Yeah. Oh my God. Only 6 receptions and 70 yards, right? And this nigga was fumbling all over the place. God damn. But you see the year after, he goes for only 1,125 yards, and his average sinks down to 4.2 yards per carry off of 270 attempts and 3 touchdowns, right? He had 15 catches, and you see his yards there, but it dips. That's a pretty significant dip. Now you see he gets back up to 1,800 yards the year after that, but we're talking about going for back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons, right? Or let's just say not even back-to-back. Let's say he gets, or Saquon is going for 2,000 yards a year or two after this year, right? The man is 27 years old. So he would be trying to do that at age 30, 31, whenever Saquon Barkley's birthday is. We're gonna get to that later. All right, the likelihood is slim to none, though. let's take a look at the next person. Eric, old ass, hating ass Dickerson. Damn, he did this in his second year. Damn, he was getting busy. I'm not gonna lie. 1,800 yards in his first season off of 390 carries, and then he goes for 2105 in his second season off of 379 carries, 5.6 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns, 21 receptions, and that's pretty nasty, yo. That's nasty. But you see, the year after, he goes for only 1,234 yards off of 292 attempts. His average sinks down to 4.2 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns, and 20 receptions. But you see it. You see it. His yards go down. His yards per carry go down. And, you know, he goes back up to 1,800 yards, but you see that's the peak right there. Like, the likelihood of going for 2,000 yards after a 2,000 yard season is just tough. It's tough. Now, I think out of all these guys, we're going to get to it, but Eric Dickerson is on the list of guys that could have done or could have gotten back to, or could have had 2,000 yard seasons on the list. And the next guy for me, Barry Sanders. If there's going to be somebody else that did it, it would be the great Barry Sanders, my GOAT, my best running back ever. All right, and my favorite. So you see, he went for 2,000 yards in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th season in the league. 2,053 yards, 6 yards per carry, off of 335 yards, 128 yards per game. 33 receptions and 300 and over 300 yards receiving, right? Then the next year, just under 1,500 yards, which is pretty impressive, but you see his average, it goes down to 4.3 yards per carry, and he had more carries in the next season than he did in this 2,000 yard season. So, you know, and only 4 touchdowns. He had more receptions, and you see that his receiving average went down as well. So it's not looking good. All right, so Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders, those two guys are on the list of guys that I think that had the best shot to have 2,000 yard seasons, multiple 2,000 yard seasons in their career. But you see Barry, he did that late in his career. So yeah. Terrell Davis, Mr. Mile High Salute himself, he went for 2,008 yards in his 4th season in the league, right? So you see it, he went for 2,008 yards in a season, 5.1 yards per carry with 392 attempts, right? 21 touchdowns, just very impressive. 25 receptions, over 200 yards. But then the fall off, man, the fall off. Not only did he not crack 1,000 yards, he started getting injured, which derailed his career. Which is unfortunate, but he wasn't able to do multiple 2,000 yards in a season. or in his career, right? Because of injuries.
You know something? The one thing I hate more than a couple cowards is a couple cripples.
Hulk, that was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. But moving on, Jamal Lewis from the Ravens. All right, now he's probably the most unlikely. He was probably the most unlikely to go for 2,000 yards in a season, even though he did it. Like, out of all the running backs in probably NFL history, he would probably be the most unlikely to do it. You would see on this list, but you see it in his 4th season in the league. He went for 2,066 yards, and averaged 5.3 yards per carry off of 387 attempts, 14 touchdowns, 26 receptions, over 200 yards receiving. And then you see the next year, only 1,000 yards, 4.3 yards per carry, and then off of 235 yards. So the production, you know, he missed 4 games, but the production is just not there. All right. It's just not there. I don't know if you just don't have the legs, or the fatigue starts to kick in or whatever, but you see it. All right. So we move on to Chris Johnson, CJ2K, right? What is this button do? All right. CJ2K, he did this in his 2nd season. I remember it like it was yesterday. Such a dynamic player. One of my favorite players ever. One of my favorite running backs ever. He went for 2,006 yards, 5.6 yards per carry off of 358 carries, 14 touchdowns, 50 receptions, and over 500 receiving yards, right? Then you see the next year, he never even came close to that. He didn't even crack 1,500 yards after that. So only over 1,300 yards, 4.3 yards per carry off of 316 carries, 11 touchdowns, 44 receptions, and 200. He only got half the receiving yards off of just as many receptions. So the production just falls off. It falls off for whatever reason. You don't come close to getting. You see the rest of his career, 1,300, over 1,000, 1,200, 1,000. You just don't come close to it. Now, next, Mr. Adrian Peterson. AD, he goes for 2,097 yards in his 6 in his 6th season, averaging over 6 yards per carry.
Crazy work.
348 yards, or 348 carries in the season, with 12 touchdowns, 40 receptions. I didn't expect that, but yeah, 217 yards. Then you look at the next season, he just cracks over 1,200 yards, and his average dips to 400, or 4.5 yards per carry. His attempts go to 279, and yeah, you see it. 10 touchdowns, but his receptions go down. Everything is down, and then, you know, injuries started to kick in. So yeah, if there is another guy that was going to go for multiple 2,000 yards in a season, he would be 3rd on the list, Adrian Peterson, for me. Now, moving on to Derrick Henry, King Henry himself. he went for 2,027 yards. Let's see. He does that in his 5th season, right? Averaging 5 yards per carry, 378 attempts, 17 touchdowns. Yeah, not many receptions or yards in receiving yards after that. But you see the production. I guess he got injured or whatever, and he missed some time. And even you look down his career, this year is his best year after that 2,000-yard season, right? Him playing with Lamar Jackson, and it's the mobile quarterback corollary. When you have a mobile quarterback, that freezes the linebackers. So if you have a really good running back like a Derrick Henry, like a Saquon Barkley, then they're able to get off. If you take a look back at what's his name, Alfred Morris, when he played with RG3, Alfred Morris was not a good running back. All right, he wasn't great, but his first year he got 1,600 yards just playing with RG3. All right, so, but even with that, Derrick Henry, he has over 1,700 yards. He can get close to 1,900 yards with this next game, because we still have one more game to play while this as this video is being recorded, right? But even the great Derrick Henry. Now we go on to Mr. Saquon Barkley, Mr. 2K Say. I still can't believe y'all let us get Saquon Barkley.
Yeah! They squabbling out there now. Yeah!
That has been his tag since I started this YouTube channel earlier this year, and we're sticking to it. All right, but you see Saquon, he went for 2,000 yards this year, which was his 7th year in the league, averaging 5.8 yards per carry, with 345 attempts, 13 touchdowns. Let's see, 33 receptions and 278 yards. Legendary season, and he has one more game to go. Will he play? Will he sit? We still don't know, but that will be determined. But the likelihood of him actually getting 2,000 yards after this is really slim to none, right? It's slim to none. And I think the person or people that think that he can just go get this record another time is just crazy. All right. But the thing is, there's been some news. There is a report that Saquon, as this video is being made, Saquon and the offensive line, they are practicing. They practice Friday, so there might be a chance that they go out on Sunday against the New York Football Giants and try to go get this record, right? Now, for me, if it was all a ruse, right? If it was all a ruse, and if it was all a ruse this whole time, and they were just playing the media and acting all sad and just playing us all for fools, and then they go out there and play on Sunday, I'm cool with that. All right, I get that. That's gamesmanship. Let's do some sneaky ass shit. All right, cool. Now, if this was, if the decision was flip flop because of pressure from the media, from fans or whatever, to go get this record, I'm not with that, yo. I'm not with that. If you make a decision, stick to it. Stand 10 toes down and stick to it. But they are practicing, so there is a chance that they might play on Sunday. They might just be practicing just to keep keep loose or whatever. I understand that. But as far as this whole decision or whatever, for me, it was never about got the guys getting injured. Like, if you're a competitor, as a former athlete, if you're a competitor, that doesn't even cross your mind. Like, it's not even the last thing on the list. Like, it doesn't cross your mind at all. If you're going to take the field or take the court or the pitch or whatever you're about to play, getting injured is it's not even a thought, right? So for me, it was never about that. It's the fact that we haven't had a bye since week 5, week 6 or whatever. And I just felt like the guys need some rest, right? That's all it was for me. But, I didn't realize how many people hated Nick Sirianni, and shout out to Nick Sirianni. Shout out to Nick Sirianni. Because I didn't realize how many people hated him until this decision was made. And, I've had my gripes with Nick too. I'm not going to lie. I came up with the moniker Nasty Nick when he was making all types of decisions, just causing this team problems, even when we would win. I've had my gripes, but he is grown. He's grown as a coach. Like, even from last year to this year, and even earlier this year to now in the present, he's grown. And we have to give him props, because he's seen some of the mistakes he's made and he's adjusted. And he has his team ready to play every single Sunday. All right. He gets W's. He gets the production that we need to be in playoff position, to have Super Bowl hopes and dreams, trying to get a Lombardi for us to make a Super Bowl run. So I don't know why people are against Nick still. Like, he's done his thing. I'm 1,000% behind Nick Sirianni, because it's so funny that him and Jalen Hitman Hurts,
The excellence of execution.
they have completely different personalities, and yet Jalen, he's more of the everything that the media says about him, he brushes it off and then shows you on the field. He shows you on the field and he's like, yo, shut the F up, right?
Shut the fuck up.
And Nick, he says outwardly,
Shut the fuck up.
and then he produces. He gets W's. He has this team ready to go. So, two different personalities that can handle this Philadelphia media. And I love this team, yo. I can't emphasize it enough. I love this team. I love this team's personality. And it all stems from Nick Sirianni. Now, if this decision, so there's a report. Lastly, and to wrap this up, there's a report talking about how Nick is going to lose his job if we have a first round exit. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why people either hate Nick or they're going after him while we're about to go into the playoffs. It seems like there's been some drama every single week. I don't know how the team has the mental bandwidth to deal with the situation, but why this report is coming out now as we're going into the playoffs, I think it's some BS. But he shouldn't be fired. To put it simply, he shouldn't be fired. He should keep his job. And that's about it, man. I don't know, you know, somebody's trying to get his job from underneath him or whatever, but it's some BS. I think the decision not to play Saquon, I think that came from maybe Jeffrey and Howie, from seeing what happened last year with AJ Brown and the injuries or whatever going into the playoffs. And I understand that. But from a competitor standpoint, from a player standpoint, we want to get that record, yo. We do. So shout out to Saquon. Shout out to my Philadelphia Eagles. A first round exit is not possible. If we play the Packers, we're going to put them in the dirt. The way Jordan Love is playing, the way, you know, they just had Jair Alexander. He's out with a knee injury. He might be their best defensive player. He's done. Get him out. Get him out. If we play the Redskins, they've been talking shit. Now, I don't want to play them because, not that I'm afraid, but you just never know with their quarterback being hot or whatever. But, you know, the game that we played before, I did a video on it. That game was fugazi, so whatever. If we play them straight up and the refs don't get involved, we gonna pack them up, put them in the dirt. All right. So that's all I got. Yeah, man.
Nigga, you gonna get down or you gonna fucking lay down?